Tahoe stood perfectly still as the ship's doors opened. The bright Earth sun hit his gray skin, making him blink his large black eyes. This was his first time on the human homeworld. He took a deep breath of the strange air. It smelled different than home, richer, wilder. "Welcome to Earth, Representative Tayo," said a short human woman. She wore a blue coat with the symbol of the Seoul Interspecies Research Center. "I am Dr. Ju Kim. I will be your guide during your stay." Tahoe gave the formal greeting of his people. He bent at exactly 30 degrees and held his three-fingered hands in front of his chest. "The Nilarian High Council sends its regards to your kind." Dr. Ju smiled and did something odd. She stuck out her hand toward him. Tahoe knew this was a human greeting, but he had hoped they would respect his superior status. On his world, only equals shook hands. "I know you've studied our customs," she said, her hand still out. "We are honored to have you as our equal partner in this exchange." Tahoe hesitated, then took her hand. It felt warm. Humans ran hotter than his people. The touch was strange, but not bad. "The year is 2189. Dr. Ju said as she led him toward a waiting vehicle. "Earth joined the Galactic Coalition 20 years ago. You are among the first Nilarian diplomats to visit us." Tahoe walked with perfect posture, his 7-foot frame towering over the human. "My superiors were concerned about sending representatives here. Humans have an unusual reputation." "Oh." Dr. Jiwoo looked interested. "What kind of reputation?" "Unpredictable. Emotional." Tahoe paused. "And you have strange ideas about social order." Dr. Jiwoo laughed. The sound was pleasant but puzzling to Tahoe. "I suppose we do, from your perspective." The vehicle took them through the city. Seoul was a mix of old temples and new towers that reached for the sky. Flying cars moved in neat lines above them. Screens showed news in many languages, including some alien ones. "Your city is impressive for such a young species," Tahoe said. He meant it as a compliment, but Dr. Ju's expression changed slightly. "Thank you," she said simply. "We've had our challenges, but we've overcome them together." At the research center, more humans waited to meet him. Tahoe was surprised to see them all standing in one line, from the center director to the cleaning staff. On his world, they would be arranged by rank. "Everyone, this is Representative Tahoe from Nilar," Dr. Ju announced. "He will be working with us for the next 6 months." Each human greeted him the same way, with a handshake and direct eye contact. None showed the proper deference to his biological superiority. It was confusing. Later, in his private quarters, Tahoe sent a message home. "I have arrived safely. The humans are not what I expected. They treat everyone as equals, even those clearly suited for lower tasks. It is inefficient, but interesting. Their world has advanced quickly despite this handicap. I will learn why during my stay." He looked out his window at the city lights below. Humans moved about, all seemingly with purpose, regardless of their station. How did such a system work? His people had evolved clear biological differences that determined their roles. Leaders were taller, workers shorter. Scientists had larger brains, warriors stronger muscles. Each knew their place. But humans, they all looked roughly the same, yet they let anyone do almost any job. It made no sense. Tahoe touched the window glass. "What strange creatures," he whispered. "What can the great Nilarian people possibly learn from them?" He did not yet know that his whole world was about to change. 1 week on Earth had left Tahoe confused. He sat in the research lab watching Dr. Jiwoo talk with her team. They spoke as equals even though some were clearly more intelligent than others. "On my world," Tahoe said during a break, "we sort people by their natural abilities. The smartest become scientists. The strongest become workers. Everyone has their place." Dr. Jiwoo looked at him with interest. "And that works well for your people." "It is the most efficient way," Tahoe said proudly. "Our society has had peace for 2,000 years because of it." "Interesting," said Dr. Jiwoo. "Humans tried systems like that in our past. They always failed. This statement bothered Tahoe. How could the natural order fail? You must come to dinner at my home tonight, Dr. Ju said suddenly. Meet my family. It might help you understand us better. That evening, Tahoe had to bend down to enter the door of Dr. Ju's apartment. Inside, he met her brother Dohan, who worked as an artist, and her grandfather Sungho, an old man with wrinkled skin and slow movements. It is an honor to meet a visitor from the stars, Sungho said, his voice shaky but his eyes bright. Tahoe nodded politely, but felt uncomfortable. On his world, the elderly were kept away once they could no longer work. Why was this old human living with his family? During dinner, Tahoe watched with surprise as everyone served food to Sungho first. They listened carefully when he spoke, even though his stories were about the past. When I was young, Sungho told Tahoe, humans still fought about skin color and gender. Some thought certain groups should have more rights than others. That seems logical, Tahoe said. Different groups have different strengths. The room became quiet. Dohan looked at Tahoe with surprise, but that caused great suffering. Sungho continued gently. When we finally treated everyone as equals, we became stronger. Our different talents worked together instead of against each other. Tahoe didn't understand but nodded politely. The next day at the research center, something strange happened. Tahoe was working on a complex problem when a human named Junho entered the room. From his uniform, Tahoe could tell he was just a janitor. "Excuse me," Junho said as he cleaned near Tahoe's workstation. He glanced at the screen. "Are you using the Kármán equation for that? It won't work for oxygen-based atmospheres." Tahoe stared at the human. How dare a cleaner speak to him about science? "You are mistaken," Tahoe said coldly. "The Kármán equation is standard for atmospheric analysis." Dr. Ju looked up from her work. "What's the issue?" Junho explained his concern. To Tahoe's shock, Dr. Ju checked the data and then nodded. "Junho is right, Tahoe. For Earth-like planets, we use the modified Kármán equation." Junho worked in atmospheric science before switching careers. Instead of punishing the janitor for speaking out of turn, Dr. Ju thanked him. Later, Tahoe saw them eating lunch together, talking like friends. That night, Tahoe paced in his room, troubled. "They waste so much potential," he said to himself. A janitor with a scientist's mind. On my world, he would be forced to use his intelligence properly. But a small voice in his head asked, then why did Junho see the mistake that Tahoe had missed? Tahoe looked out at the city lights. Humans moved about below, all different, all choosing their own paths. It seemed chaotic and wrong, but he couldn't deny that Earth had achieved in 200 years what took his people 1,000. Perhaps, Tahoe whispered to himself, there is something about their equality that I do not yet understand. He thought about old Sungho, treated with respect despite his age, and Junho, the janitor whose mind crossed boundaries. These things would never happen on Nilar. For the first time, Tahoe wondered if that was a good thing. Tahoe stood tall at the back of the meeting room. Today was important. Earth representatives were meeting with delegates from 5 alien species, including the powerful Voraks. The Voraks were even taller than Nilarians, with thick purple skin and 4 arms. Dr. Ju had invited Tahoe to watch. "It might help you understand our approach to galactic politics," she had said. The meeting started well, but soon turned tense. The Voraks leader, a massive female named Killa, suddenly cut off a human speaker. "Enough," she said. "Humans are too new to the stars to speak on this matter. Know your place." Tahoe nodded to himself. This was proper. In the natural order, newer species should listen to older ones. The humans would surely back down. But they didn't. The human representative, a calm man named Sunwoo, simply waited for Kalla to finish. Then he spoke in a polite but firm voice. "With respect, Ambassador Kalla, Earth's experience with diverse ecosystems gives us unique insight on this matter. We ask to be heard equally." Tahoe blinked in surprise. The human had not yielded. Even more shocking, the other species in the room seemed to be listening. "Your kind has been spacefaring for barely a century," Kulla growled. "The Voraks have traveled the stars for 50,000 years. Age does not always equal wisdom," Sunwoo replied. "Sometimes fresh eyes see solutions others miss." There was a murmur around the table. Taiho held his breath, expecting the Voraks to punish such disrespect. Instead, after a tense moment, Kala gave a small nod. "Speak then, human. We will judge if your words have value." And remarkably, when Sunwoo outlined Earth's proposal for sharing resources, even the Voraks seemed interested. Later, walking back to the research center, Taho questioned Dr. Juu. "Your representative risked much by challenging the Voraks. Why didn't he accept his natural place as a junior species?" Dr. Juu smiled. "What natural place, Tayo? We're different, not lesser." "But the Voraks are stronger, older, more advanced," Taho insisted. "In some ways, yes. But not in others," she said. "Humans have learned that treating everyone as equals, hearing all voices, leads to better solutions. It's not just morally right, it's practical." Taho thought about this as they passed a school. Dr. Juu suggested they stop and look. Inside, human children of different sizes and colors work together in groups. "Shouldn't they be separated by ability?" Taho asked. "The smart ones are slowed down by the others." "Watch closer," Dr. Juu said. Taho observed a small girl helping a larger boy understand a problem. Then the boy drew something that made the girl exclaim with delight. "She's our best math student," Dr. Juu explained. "He's our most creative artist." Together, they're solving a problem neither could alone. "But on my world," Taho began. "On your world, would they ever have worked together?" Dr. Juu asked. Taho fell silent. "No, they wouldn't. The girl would be trained with other math talents. The boy with other artists. They would never meet." As they left the school, they passed a statue in the courtyard. It showed human hands of different sizes all linked together. "Our greatest strength isn't our technology, Tayo," Dr. Juu said quietly. "It's our refusal to leave anyone behind. Every voice matters. Every perspective adds something." Taho stared at the statue. He thought about the meeting with the Voraks, the janitor who fixed his equation, the old grandfather whose stories everyone valued. "It seems inefficient," he said, but with less certainty than before. "Does it?" Dr. Juu asked. "Humans went from horse carts to starships in 300 years. How long did it take the Nilarians?" Taho didn't answer. The truth was over 2,000 years. For the first time, he wondered if his people's perfect hierarchy might actually be holding them back. The small research shuttle shook violently. Taho grabbed his seat as warning lights flashed red. "Engine failure," the pilot shouted. "Prepare for emergency landing." Taho looked at the other passengers. There was Dr. Juu, a senior researcher named Hyunki, and a maintenance worker named Minja. They were returning from collecting samples in Earth's Rocky Mountains when the engines suddenly failed. The shuttle hit the ground hard, sliding through trees before stopping. No one was badly hurt, but they were stranded in a remote mountain area. Their communication system was damaged. "We need to establish order," Taho said once they were outside, looking at the smoking shuttle. "On my world, the highest-ranking person would take charge in a crisis." He pointed to Dr. Juu. "You should lead us." Dr. Juu shook her head. "That's not how we work, Tayo. We all contribute based on our skills, not our titles." "That's chaos," Tayo argued. "A clear chain of command is essential for survival." Despite his protests, the humans began working together without establishing ranks. Hyunki checked their supplies. Minja examined the shuttle for useful parts. Dr. Juu treated a cut on the pilot's head. "We need to find shelter before night," Hyunki said. "The temperature drops quickly in these mountains." Taho was frustrated but joined the search. He walked along a steep path, and suddenly the ground gave way beneath him. He fell down a rocky slope, pain shooting through his leg. He called for help, but no one heard. Looking down, he saw his leg was badly cut and twisted at a strange angle. Nilarians had vulnerable leg joints, and he knew this was serious. On his world, injured individuals were sometimes left behind if they slowed the group. As the sun began to set, Tahoe grew cold and worried. Would the humans search for him, or would they focus on their own survival? Just as darkness fell, he heard voices calling his name. Soon, all 4 humans appeared, carrying emergency lights. Tahoe. Thank goodness, Dr. Ju said, rushing to his side. My leg is broken, Tahoe said. You should return to your shelter. I will slow you down. The humans looked at him strangely. We're not leaving you, Minja said firmly. He was the lowest-ranking human in their group, yet he spoke with authority. Together, they carefully carried Tahoe back to a small cave they had found. Inside, they had already built a fire and set up emergency blankets. Dr. Ju examined his leg. I can set the bone, but we need something to hold it in place. Minje studied the problem. I have an idea. He took parts from the shuttle's control panel and some fabric from the seats. Working quickly, he made a special brace for Tahoe's unique alien leg structure. How did you know how to do that? Tahoe asked as the pain eased. Minja shrugged. I'm good with my hands. I fix things. For 3 days, they waited for rescue. During this time, Tahoe watched in amazement as the humans worked together. No one gave orders. No one claimed special treatment. The maintenance worker Minja created tools they needed. The pilot found food. Hyunki, despite being the senior researcher, collected firewood alongside everyone else. When rescue finally came, Tahoe had much to think about. In a crisis where his own people would have established a strict order with some valued above others, these humans had all played equal parts in their survival. Most surprising was Minjae, who despite his low status had created the brace that saved Tahoe's leg. On Nilar, someone like Minja would never have been allowed to show such skills. As the rescue ship lifted off, Tahoe looked at the maintenance worker with new eyes and wondered what other talents were hidden in those his people would consider unimportant. 2 weeks after the mountain rescue, Tahoe sat alone in his quarters. His leg was healing well thanks to both human and Nilarian medicine. But his mind was not at peace. He looked at his reflection in the window. The same gray face and large black eyes looked back at him. But something had changed inside. He no longer felt certain about things he once knew to be true. The door chimed. It was Dr. Ju. How are you feeling today? She asked, checking his leg brace. The leg heals well, Tahoe said. Then, after a pause, but I am troubled. About what? Dr. Ju sat down across from him. I have been on Earth for 2 months now. I have seen things that do not match what I was taught. Tahoe's voice was low. Your people treat janitors and scientists as equals. You risk your lives for the injured. Your elders are respected even when they can no longer work. Dr. Ju waited for him to continue. On my world, everyone has their place based on their biology. Leaders are born to lead. Workers are born to work. We do not question this. And now you're questioning it. Dr. Ju asked gently. Tahoe nodded slowly. I have received a message from the Nilarian High Command. They are concerned about my reports. They say I am becoming contaminated by human ideas. He showed her the message on his screen. The final line read, Return for realignment or face exile from your people. Realignment? Dr. Ju asked. Mental correction. Tahoe explained. They will fix my thinking. Dr. Ju frowned but didn't try to tell him what to do. This, too, was different from Nilarian ways. A superior would always give orders. What will you choose? She asked instead. I don't know, Tahoe admitted. 2 months ago, I would have returned without question. Now, he trailed off. That evening, Tahoe visited Ju's family home again. The old grandfather, Sungho, was sitting on the balcony, watching the sunset. May I join you? Tahoe asked. Please do, Sungho said, pointing to a chair. You seem troubled, young Nilarian. Tahoe explained his problem. The old man listened without interrupting. In my long life, Sungho finally said, I have learned that the hardest choices are between what others expect of us and what our heart tells us is right. On my world, the group comes before the individual, Tahoe said. It is the same for humans in many ways, Sungho replied. But we learned that forcing people into boxes hurts both the person and the community. When people choose their own path, they bring their best gifts to all. Tahoe thought about Minjae, who saved his leg because he was allowed to develop skills beyond his official job. My people will say I am defective if I question our ways, Tahoe said. Sungho nodded sadly. There is always a price for seeing with new eyes. The question is whether the truth you found is worth that price. As Tahoe walked back to his quarters that night, he passed human children playing in a park. Some were tall, some short. Some ran fast, others moved slowly. But all played together, finding ways to include everyone. He thought of Nilarian children, separated by type from birth, never knowing those different from themselves. In his room, Tahoe stared at the message again. Return for realignment or face exile. For the first time in his life, Tahoe felt torn between two worlds. The ordered, predictable world of Nilar, where he would always know his place, and this messy, surprising human world, where anyone could be anything. A world where an injured alien was carried to safety not because of his rank, but simply because he needed help. Tahoe touched the healing leg that humans had saved, and made his decision. The day the Nilarian delegation arrived, Earth's sky turned dark with clouds. 3 tall, gray-skinned aliens stepped out of their ship at the Seoul Interspecies Research Center. Their leader, Commander Yonu, was even taller than Tahoe, with markings on her face showing her high rank. Tahoe stood with Dr. Juwu and the Human Welcoming Committee. His back was straight, but inside he felt nervous. Welcome to Earth, said the human official. We are honored by your visit. Commander Yonu barely looked at the human. Instead, she stared at Tahoe. You have not answered our message, Representative Tahoe, she said in their language. This is concerning. I wish to discuss it in person, Tahoe replied carefully. There is much about humans that our reports have not captured. Yonu's eyes narrowed. We will evaluate the exchange program and your condition. Follow. The delegation was given a tour of the research center. Tahoe watched as Commander Yonu and her assistants examined everything with cold eyes. They did not like how humans of different ranks worked side by side. They were confused when Dr. Juwu asked a junior researcher for advice. Later, they sat in a meeting room. Humans and Nilarians on opposite sides of the table. The air felt heavy with tension. We have concerns, Commander Yonu announced. This exchange was meant to teach humans about proper social order. Instead, Representative Tahoe appears to have been influenced by human disorder. What do you mean by disorder? Asked Dr. Juwu politely. Your failure to recognize biological hierarchy, Yonu said. Some beings are naturally superior to others. This is scientific fact. A young human researcher named Deo spoke up. What our research shows. Silence. Yonu cut him off. Lower ranks do not speak in such meetings. Tahoe felt something shift inside him. Before coming to Earth, he would have agreed with Yonu. Now, the commander's words felt wrong. Actually, Tahoe said, standing up, Researcher Daho has important information on this topic. His rank does not make his knowledge less valuable. The room went quiet. Commander Yonu stared at Tahoe in shock. You see, she said to the other Nilarians, he is contaminated by human thinking. Not contaminated, Tahoe replied. Enlightened. Yonu turned to the humans. We are prepared to end this exchange program and limit future contact unless humans acknowledge their proper place in the galactic order. Dr. Juwu looked calm. And what place would that be, Commander? Below more advanced species, of course, Yonu said. Your biology is inferior. Your brains are smaller than ours. Your lifespan's shorter. You should defer to superior beings in all matters of importance." The humans looked at each other. Then, the head of the research center spoke in a firm but polite voice. "We respect your great achievements, Commander, but we cannot and will not participate in any system that ranks beings as superior or inferior. All sentient life deserves equal voice and respect." Commander Yonu stood up, angry. "This is why primitive species remain primitive. You reject natural order." Tahoe watched the humans. They did not get angry. They did not try to prove themselves. They simply stood firm in their belief that all beings deserved respect. And in that moment, Tahoe made his choice. "Commander," he said, stepping away from the Nilarian side of the table, "I believe the humans are right." Yonu's face showed shock, and then disgust. "Then you are no longer Nilarian. You have 1 day to decide. Return with us for complete realignment of your thinking, or be permanently exiled from your people." As the delegation left, Dr. Juwu put her hand on Tahoe's arm. "I'm sorry," she said. "We never meant to come between you and your people." "I know," Tahoe said quietly. "But now I must decide what kind of person I want to be." Tahoe sat in Juwu's family home, watching night fall over Seoul. Tomorrow he would have to choose: return to Nilar for realignment, or live in exile from his own kind. "You are welcome to stay with us while you decide," Juwu had told him. Her family had agreed without hesitation. Now Dohan, Juwu's artist brother, sat beside Tahoe on the balcony. "When I was young," Dohan said, "my parents wanted me to be a scientist like my sister. But I love to paint. In your world, would I have been allowed to choose?" Tahoe shook his head. "Your brain type would have determined your path from birth. And if my brain was wrong for art, but I still loved it, you would be realigned to accept your proper place," Tahoe said quietly. Old Sung-ho joined them, moving slowly with his cane. "In human history, we tried systems like that. Some people were told they couldn't do certain jobs because of their color or gender. Some were even owned by others." "What changed?" Tahoe asked. "Brave people stood up and said it was wrong," Sung-ho replied. "They said every person deserves the chance to choose their own path. That true strength comes from freedom, not control." Tahoe thought all night about his choice. He studied data on both human and Nilarian societies. By morning, he had made his decision. The hearing room was full. Humans sat on one side, the Nilarian delegation on the other. Commander Yonu stood tall, waiting for Tahoe's answer. "Before I choose," Tahoe said, "I wish to present some findings." He activated a screen showing charts and numbers. "This is Nilarian progress over the past 1,000 years, he explained. "Our technology has advanced at a steady, controlled rate." He showed another chart. "This is human progress in just 300 years. Their growth is much faster despite their inferior biology." Commander Yonu frowned. "They are reckless. We are stable. Or perhaps," Tahoe suggested, "we are stagnant while they flourish." He showed more data. "Nilarian art has not changed in 500 years. Our music follows the same patterns. Our society is the same as it was millennia ago." "Because we perfected it," Yonu insisted. "Did we?" Tahoe asked. "Or did we just stop growing?" He showed pictures of Earth's art, music, cities, and inventions, all changing rapidly over time. "Humans change because they allow everyone to contribute," Tahoe said. "Janitors can make scientific discoveries. Artists can solve engineering problems. Elders can guide with wisdom from experience." Tahoe turned to face Commander Yonu directly. "I have made my choice. I choose exile." The room went silent. Yonu's face showed anger and disgust. "You choose inferior beings over your own kind," she demanded. "I choose a way of life that values all beings," Tahoe replied. "Nilarians believe we are superior because we were born with certain traits. Humans believe everyone deserves respect regardless of birth. Tahoe stood taller. True advancement comes not from believing we are already perfect, but from listening to all voices. Not from forcing people into boxes, but from letting them grow beyond what we imagine possible. Commander Yonu nodded coldly. Then it is done. You are no longer Nilarian. Your name will be removed from our records. As the Nilarian delegation left, humans came to stand beside Tahoe. Dr. Juwu touched his arm. Are you sure this is what you want? She asked gently. Tahoe looked around at the humans. Different heights, colors, ages, all standing together. He thought of Minje, who saved his leg, of Chunho, the janitor scientist, of old Sungo, whose wisdom guided him. For the first time, Tahoe said, I am making my own choice, not following a path set by my biology. Is that not what it means to be truly free? Outside, the Nilarian ship rose into the sky. Tahoe watched it go, feeling both loss and hope. He had lost his people, but perhaps found something greater, the right to choose who he would become. 6 months had passed since Tahoe chose exile from his people. The Seoul skyline glowed outside his new office window. Inside, a strange mix of humans and aliens worked together. Ambassador Tahoe, the Frillian delegates are ready to meet you, said his assistant. Tahoe smiled. He wasn't officially an ambassador, but somehow the title had stuck. After his public stand against the Nilarian hierarchy, other alien species had become curious about this gray-skinned rebel. Thank you, Minje, he said. Yes, his assistant was the same maintenance worker who had saved his leg in the mountains. When Tahoe set up his small team to build bridges between species, Minje was his first choice. The human's creative mind solved problems others couldn't see. The Frillians were a new species to the Galactic Coalition. Small and furry, they had been ignored by most advanced races, but Tahoe had heard them out and found they had amazing ideas about energy conservation. They remind me of my first days on Earth, Tahoe told Dr. Juwu later that day. They sat in a garden at the research center, lost among bigger aliens, expected to know their place. Juwu smiled. And now you're helping them find their voice, just as you helped me find mine. News had reached Tahoe that his choice had caused ripples back on Nilar. Some younger Nilarians questioned the old ways. A small reform movement had begun. It would take time, but change had started. The Galactic Coalition is adopting your ideas, Juwu said. They're giving seats to smaller species on the advisory council. Human ideas. Tahoe corrected her. I simply learned to see with new eyes. Those new eyes saw so much that his old ones had missed. In the past 6 months, Tahoe had helped form the first truly equal multi-species research team. Their different perspectives had already led to 3 major breakthroughs that neither humans nor any single alien race could have discovered alone. That evening, Tahoe visited his favorite spot in Seoul, a small hill overlooking the city. Old Sungo sat beside him, wrapped in a warm blanket despite the mild weather. You know, the old man said, when I was young, many humans still fought against treating each other equally. It seemed impossible then that we would ever get past our divisions. And now you've welcomed an alien into your family, Tahoe said. Sungho patted Tahoe's hand. Not an alien. A person. Those simple words meant everything to Tahoe. Later, he stood at the window of the space station, watching Earth spin below. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land. Home to a species that many advanced races had dismissed as primitive. A young Nilarian approached cautiously. She had arrived recently on a science exchange, part of a new, unofficial connection between Earth and Nilar. Is it true? She asked Tahoe. Did you really choose exile for an idea? Not just an idea, Tahoe replied. For the truth that worth isn't determined by biology or birth, but by the content of one's actions and character. The High Command says humans infected your mind, she said. Tahoe smiled. No, they opened my eyes. There's a difference. He pointed to Earth below them. Down there is a species that went from horse carts to starships in the blink of an eye. not because they were stronger or smarter than us, but because they let everyone contribute. They see value in all voices. The young Illyrian looked thoughtful. "I will make my own judgment," she said finally. "That," Tahoe said, "is the most human thing you could do." As she left, Tahoe continued watching Earth turn. He now saw the universe through human eyes, not because their eyes were better, but because they saw worth in everything. Humans' insistence on equality wasn't their weakness, as his people believed. It was the source of their remarkable strength, and now it was his strength too. In the eyes of a human, Tahoe had found not just equality, but freedom.